graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Deviants, welcome to show. I am the Clintoris, and I am here with
the Guch.
And I am fucking furious that you guys keep showing me these goddamn movies about kids getting killed.
That's Devo. And we are the Social Deviants, who are here today to talk about another movie that involves child mortality. And that movie is called Pet Semetary. The movie was originally released on April 21st, 1989. The reason why we're doing it now and not in a couple weeks is because there is a remake that is being released on April 5th. We're recording right now, March 30th. We'll be posting this on April 3rd. So wanted to do that to honor coincide with the new movie being released, and to also to maybe look back at a movie that was released almost 30 years ago. And I don't think I'd ever seen this movie before. Had you guys seen the movie before?
I remember watching it when I was young. Well, I guess it couldn't have been that young. I was what, 8 when this came out? 7? I was 7. I turned 8. I remember watching it when I was 10 and being terrified because I was 10. And then I didn't remember watching it until I was a teenager, and I guess I forgot about it. I don't remember. It didn't really leave that much of a impact on me. And then I watched it again now, obviously, and well, we'll get into that. Devo?
I watched it a couple times in the early 90s, and one scene that kind of sticks in my head is Gage's shoe rolling in the street after he gets hit by the truck. But other than that, I don't remember having any sort of connection with the movie other than when you see a movie that you haven't seen in a while, you're like, oh, this is how I felt about it. Like when I watched this again, I was just like, I don't remember bits and pieces of the movie. Maybe I was just too young to really understand what was going on. But I think I'm on the same sideline as Lucho.
I think I remembered the second movie more than I remembered this movie. I'm pretty sure I've never seen this one. I remember some scenes from the second one. Edward Furlong was in it, of course. But this movie was it's based off a Stephen King book. Stephen King stipulated that when he sold the rights, originally he actually sold the rights to George Romero for like $10,000 or something like that in 1984, but he dropped out. I think the book was released in 1983. And he wrote the screenplay. He stipulated that he had to write the screenplay and that it had to be shot in Maine, where the book is set, and obviously the movie is set, and where I believe Stephen King lives, and a lot of his stories take place, kind of like an M. Night Shyamalan thing, where a lot of his stories take place in Pennsylvania, if not Philadelphia, and specifically or Pittsburgh. I'm not exactly sure which one. And so the movie was made for $11.5 million. I'm struggling to figure out what they spent the money on, other than actors, I think.
Must have been prosthetics.
I guess it had to have been, right? Yeah.
Or maybe like the sites they had to go to, like they had to
just shoot on site. Yeah,
they
had to pay crew.
Because the house that they were in was someone's actual house, and then even the house that Jud lives in, that was another person's like real house. So they probably had to pay them some skrill to shoot in there.
I was reading that the Jud's house was a facade that they covered in like some like insulated thing so they could burn it down without touching the house.
Yeah.
And later on in the film. So yeah, this movie, it's also interesting. Obviously, there's a couple things that link this movie to some other movies we've recently done. Number one, like Devo mentioned before, obviously there's a kid getting run over, which I didn't know that was going to happen. Obviously, I knew about 5 minutes in that was going to happen, but I didn't know that was what was in the movie. So it was kind of weird to obviously see that happen in 2 consecutive movies that we reviewed. But also, this movie is considered like a horror type movie, just kind of like Ravenous was, and also directed by a woman. Her name was Mary Lambert, I believe, which I find interesting because generally, I don't know. First of all, how many women directors are even in Hollywood? And then how many of them do horror films?
Yeah.
It just seems kind of rare, and we hit 2 of them, so that's kind of cool, I thought. Mary Lambert.
And Mary Lambert also did Pet Semetary too.
Yeah, she did. And I think that had to do because she had built a relationship with Stephen King, and Stephen King really sort of held the creative rights to his work, it seemed like.
Well, I mean, according to this, she was like mostly like a music video director, and I guess she knew the Ramones.
Yeah, she directed.
That's how she got into it. Yeah.
She directed the video for "Material Girl" and "Like a Prayer," Madonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she, like you said, Gucci knew the Ramones, and actually Stephen King was a friend, and the Ramones actually, to go back to Gucci's what was it, orchestral magnificence.
There's no such thing in this film.
No,
I will argue that there's one scene when the mom Rachel is going to Jud's house after she hears Zelda calling out to her and Gage calling out to her.
So it's like towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end, and there was something in the background. I don't know if it was part of the music or part of the sound effects, but you could hear like it wasn't church, but it was like this groaning, like evil cat sound. And I don't know if that was to signify church or if that was to signify the Wendigo, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like that mixed in with the music for that particular scene, I thought worked very well. But other than that, it's like typical 80s horror music, and it was garbage.
It was terrible. And honestly, the Ramones, because they did the song for the end. It's actually called it's called Pet Semetary, right? Oh my god, it's so terrible.
But Stephen King got it right when he did Maximum Overdrive because he had AC/DC do the entire soundtrack.
That's true. Anyways, continue, Clint. That was funny.
No, it's and I guess she's the one that got the Ramones to be able to participate in the film soundtrack. Was the director because she had known them. Now, before we get into the casting, I have some thoughts about that. There's one question that I think that we should address because it's one thing that I was trying to think about is the way that the word cemetery is spelled. Did you guys give it any thought? Because I have some thoughts.
I read up on it, so I know why it's misspelled. Because they don't specifically say it in the movie, but when they're talking about the Pet Semetary, it's all kids taking their pets there and burying them. So it's a kid that wrote that sign, and obviously the kid was dumb and didn't know how to spell cemetery.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, I think that's what I looked up. That's what they said. What's what I got out of the internet on that. Okay, so if they wrote that sign, how'd they get it up there? A ladder, I'm guessing?
The kids, man. They climb on things and they hammer things.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Or maybe their folks helped them. We don't know. I mean, who knows how long the thing's been
true.
up there,
There were quite a few adults that were aware of it and were involved in it. All right, so let's get into the casting here. So the first thing that I want to talk about is Tasha Yar.
Yeah.
She wasn't the only person I recognized in the film, but she was the first person that I recognized. I didn't remember who the hell she was.
I did not remember Denise Crosby being in this film, by the way. She got ep by the Shelley Act to go to this fucking film. So that's losing stuff right there.
Was this
no, she did this before Star Trek.
Okay.
No, this was 89. She was in Star Trek from 87 to 88. She was in the first 2 seasons.
So this is when she left to try to become a film star?
To be fair, she didn't leave Star Trek. She demanded more money and wanted a bigger role, and so they axed her.
Yeah, they axed her. So she got ep by the Shelley Act.
Now, did you see that there was a couple scenes where she was wearing an outfit where she had those shoulder pads that women used to wear from the 80s?
90s shoulder
Do you
pads?
remember that?
No, those are the 80s shoulder pads. Those are the 80s shoulder pads.
They look terrible.
They looked sexy.
No, you know what looked sexy was that she wasn't wearing a bra in some of those things.
Gooch.
They were nice and tight, but they were small, but they looked good.
Gooch, there was a scene where she just had a robe on, like a thin silk type robe, and she just had panties on and a tank underneath. I was like,
Young Tasha Yar is sexy.
As a young man growing up in the late 80s, if you were a sci-fi geek, there were 2 women that caught your eye, and that was Denise Crosby as Tasha Yar and Martina Sirtis as Lieutenant Troy.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I love Troy.
And Sigourney Weaver from
oh God.
Alien.
There we go.
Yeah, from Alien. Ooh.
So you're saying that's the sci-fi lady Mount Rushmore?
You've got it's the biggest head would be Sigourney.
Yeah, because the alien was big.
Over what's her over Leia?
Oh yes.
No, Leia would be on there.
Leia would be on there.
Okay.
But you think about it, like she was Leia basically, like if you're thinking about strictly 80s, the 80s Mount Rushmore of the geek ladies, it would be definitely Carrie Fisher, definitely Sigourney Weaver. Would you put
think who else?
Denise Crosby on there? I mean, because she was only on Star Trek for that 1 year.
Yeah, but she was memorable. Everyone knows her. When they see her face, they know her.
For me, I was all about Gates McFadden.
Oh, I like Gates McFadden. She was sexy. I mean, I don't know. But the problem is, I don't know if she did any sci-fi. She did a lot of fantasy films. You could put what's her face, the tall chick from Red Sonja. What's her name?
Oh.
Bridget Nielsen.
Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah,
but she didn't do any sci-fi though.
No, she didn't. Other than that, it was fantasy though, right?
Yeah, it was fantasy. So you can't really tell. You can't really put that up there.
Okay,
anyways, let's continue on.
So
that'll be a different show.
Yeah.
The main character, the Doc, I don't know who the hell he was. Have you guys seen him in anything else?
I have.
Weird. His face looks familiar, but I can't recall anything I've seen him in. And I tried looking up his IMDb, and I don't recognize a single thing.
I've known him for since he was in a lot of the TV shows I watched. Like he was a few episodes of CSI. I was looking this up. It was he was always nothing but B movies. I don't think he's done anything that was A. And this is a B movie to me, so I don't give a damn what people say. So
B minus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The old dude, Jud. That's Herman Munster.
That's Herman, Paul.
The judge from My Cousin Vinny.
It was one of his last roles. I mean, he croaked, I think, in '93. So 89.
Yeah.
This movie was
Fred
made in
Gwynne,
89.
rest in peace.
Oh.
Now, question about him. This old bastard was just downing Budweiser all movie.
That's what you do when you live in Bangor, Maine.
That's right.
I mean, how many scenes do you think he had where he was either had finished drinking, was about to drink, or was drinking?
Well, it's because he was trying to drown his sorrows. Because he knew what he got the poor main character into. He raised his cat, knowing that they're probably have to give another life for it and shit.
And I tip my glass to him because that night when Louis went to go bury Gage in the Pet Semetary, Jud is walking to his front porch. And he's got a 6-pack of Bud, and he's just chilling there. And he just cracks one up. I'm like, you know what? That man who's gonna hang out on his porch all night and just drink beer, it's got my respect.
That's all. I mean, that's all he did. Right?
And he was always passing a beer to Lewis. So I mean, you know what?
Yeah,
he did what, yard work during the day and drank beers on the porch at night.
Hey, that's the life. And you convince a man to bury your dead son in the Pet Cemetery. So
yeah, no, the cat, because the son, he didn't want the son to be buried there, because he told him the story about the guy with the from World War II coming back and becoming a zombie. So having to burn him alive.
So now the woman Missy, the chick that hung herself. Did you guys? I thought of this. I don't know if you guys thought this, but to me, when I first saw her, I was like, she looks like the female Guy Pearce.
Nope, did not cross my mind at all.
It didn't cross my mind. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Now the son. What's his face? Gage.
Yeah.
Dude, Devo, please tell me what's up with these white people naming their kids weird shit. Gage in this one.
Sprague.
And Sprague in
Sprague's different. That's a different country. That's a strong Australian name. Gage is like Zach. Like
okay.
We don't know, Devo. Please tell us.
I'm trying to think of these standard white names. Not standard white names, but
it's like Lance and
Lance
Bryce
is a good one. I already said Brock.
Name your male child.
Seth
Kelly
is a good one. Seth is a good one.
Oh man.
Now what it is?
That little kid. I recognize the kid, of course. Obviously, he's from Kindergarten Cop. But he was in a bunch of stuff.
Well, he was in Kindergarten Cop. He was in Mercury Rising with what's his face, Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
he was in Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
It's a terrible film.
I mean, if you're a child actor, what do you think the percentage of films that you have the ability to be in is related to horror? I mean, it's pretty high, right?
Right.
I mean, it's one of the main genres that you'll have a chance to get a gig in, right?
Right. Well, I was reading that there was a theory that like this movie like messed this fool's brain up. Because like all the because it was like it was all the horror scenes in it.
Yeah.
But like the director was saying is like they never filmed any of the scenes that was like that had the gore in it with them actually on the set. As you can tell if you watch the movie when he's fighting against Louis, it's worse than the Chucky doll, I think.
I basically thought it was the Chucky doll.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
That's actually kind of a good segue too, because I had this saved for. It's just ridiculous. But do you think kids playing in horror movies like this like mess them up for life?
I don't know. I mean,
what do you think happened with the Exorcist chick?
Didn't she
said
go
it
a little
affected her.
nuts?
She did go a little bit nuts. Yeah.
But hers is a lot more intense than what Gage went through. Like honestly, I think what Gage went through, he just had to say some weird lines and he had to put on some weird makeup and hold like a dull scalpel.
Yeah.
But
do you think that he actually spoke those lines though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt.
Well, I mean, the whole thing about it is though, it's like I think supposedly like the filming itself was a bit more intense too. For The Exorcist, like a bunch of shit went bad, a person died, all this weird other stuff happened. I mean, she wasn't crazy enough. She was in part 2.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess like, she needed that fucking crazy money.
But like Gage isn't like looking at his dad and saying, "Your mother sucks cocks in hell."
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck my pussy. That was actually kind of.
Let Jesus fuck me. Let Jesus fuck me.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're that young,
on,
it may not be your choice. Your parents might be pressuring you and all these things like that.
True, and especially it's like Hollywood, so we don't know.
But still, like even though it's not your choice, it's still going to affect you. And the fact that this kid did Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and it sounds like he's living a normal life and he seems to be happy. I mean, just what you're able to catch up with on the internet, but like.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. Like, he hasn't committed suicide. We haven't heard that he's gotten any DUIs, been a druggie. I mean, I guess he dodged the bullet of being, the so-called Hollywood.
Compare him to Jake Lloyd, right?
Exactly.
After Star Wars, Jake Lloyd went off the deep end.
Well, people hated him. That's why.
Oh, and look at the kid who played Alexander from Star Trek, Worf's kid.
People hated him, though.
Huh?
People didn't like Alexander.
No, but still, because of that, he got like tats all over his neck. He's wasn't he like mugging people? And
I guess so. I mean, like I said, most child stars have to, I guess, go through that thing, of course. But
what was weird is that kid's he's not a twin.
No, he's a single guy. He's like,
and so they cast him, and they were a little worried about
that.
Guy.
He's a single guy.
He's a single person, yeah, of course.
Single person.
Because a lot of times they cast twins so that the kids can they can work the long hours because one works half of them and the other one works half. But she just fought to have this kid in there. This kid was able to do it. I mean, obviously you notice that he's not in a lot of the major scenes. They find some way to write him out of the scene, but
getting hit by a truck.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it didn't stop him from. He still had more scenes after that.
He did.
Stephen King was the pastor at the funeral. I thought that was a cool, almost Stan Lee-ish little thing. Although I guess maybe Stan Lee Stan Lee has some lines. I thought it was kind of funny. If you don't know what Stephen King looks like, you're not going to know. Like these maybe young people wouldn't know, but obviously we do, and you see it right away. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But apparently he cameos in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Did you? Let's talk about Zelda. It's a dude.
It is a dude, of course, yeah.
That plays that. Now, I never saw the movie. I did not expect that. When that scene first came in, I was like, whoa, what the
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
I don't, did you think, to me, I thought that was the most disturbing part of the film, was that character. What did you guys think?
Honestly, I thought
aside from the kid getting hit by the truck.
Well, I honestly I don't think anything was disturbing of the film.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna ask Devo. Gooch, you're just desensitized.
I guess the problem is he's looks so ridiculous, to be honest with you. I mean, it looks like a fucking guy in some makeup.
Well, he looked like a zombie for sure. First and foremost,
he didn't look like a zombie. He kind of looked emaciated, but it was I think
I looked up to see if
try
people
to make him
are
look
like that,
too
that
much like a woman.
Well, I think they had to try to do something. But they tried to make him look ghostly or something.
I understand, and they were supposed to be.
But people do that in meningitis, the whole
Yes.
twisting and the wrenching and all that stuff.
That's fine. But
that was still disturbing.
Actually,
that stuff is fine.
I thought I had forgotten that the lady that that plays Missy. I had forgotten that she hung herself. So
in the movie,
I had forgotten. Yeah. So I looked down at my phone for a second to go look at some stats or some trivia for Pet Semetary. Then I look up and she had she was writing a note and then boom, she was dead. I was like, oh, okay. I was I forgot about that.
It's a little bit graphic too, actually. The way they did it.
I thought that was the most I didn't expect part. Everything else was fine.
Did you feel like that kind of came out of nowhere?
Yeah, I totally felt that came out of nowhere, and I think that's what the most surprising thing about it. I mean, I thought she was going to be some sort of weirdo that just tries to get, because I had forgotten a lot of this film, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe I blocked it out when I was a kid. I don't remember. I thought that I didn't think it was disturbing, but out of everything out of the movie, I thought that was the most shocking per se.
Yeah. Well, because when it happened, I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was. It felt like it was unnecessary, but almost necessary at the same time. Because the movie was getting kind of slow at that point, to be honest.
Well, because I think she knew what was going to happen, and so she's like, I don't want to fuck with this anymore, so I'm out.
So see ya.
So before we move on to the script doctor, I just have one last question for you guys. I thought the acting was terrible in this whole movie overall. It was so telegraphed. And a lot of it was cut very slowly. Did you guys notice? That's what I wanted to ask you. Did you guys notice there was a lot of times where someone said their line and then there was an extra little split second where it seemed so mechanical and robotic. And it wasn't like they were actually having a conversation. It was just like they were just looking at each other for a split second. Did you guys catch that?
It was terrible, dude.
It was rough. It was not yeah.
And apparently, I guess I was reading some more of the trivia. I guess all three of the family members. So Ellie, which is the daughter, is it Ellie or Ella? I don't know. Ellie, Louis, and Denise Crosby's character. I guess they all have The Shining.
No,
and that's what they're saying.
They all had the what?
No, because
The Shining.
Because they were saying because it's a plot device that Stephen King apparently uses in his film in many of his books, where people that have some sort of empathic abilities will see ghosts and hear stuff to kind of premonitions. Except for Ellie, I guess in the book, Ellie is actually empathic.
Yeah, I think it's only the dad and Ellie that have The Shining, and I think Ellie is a lot stronger with it. Denise Crosby, she was influenced by the ghost.
The ghost,
that
right?
Ghost show that he could influence other people.
Right.
She never saw the ghost.
No,
So
but she'd be like, "What was she saying?" And he was like, "Not Poshkow." And she's like, Poshkow? And he was disincorporated. Was she saying disincorporated? And he was able to push people into where he wanted them to go. The fact that the dad was able to see him so clearly showed that he had The Shining.
Yeah.
And the fact that the daughter, she had the dreams and she saw everything. She was able to tell the future, so she had The Shining for sure. And yes, this is the same Shining from the movie The Shining with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. And what I was just trying to get at is that there was a lot of the rough cuts where a lot had to do with those things.
Oh, you're saying that there was a moment where they were thinking to each other or something
exactly.
like that?
So
got it.
There was talking, and then there was I guess some vision, or they try to make it seem like that way, and that's where the rough cuts came in. It was very, very bad.
Okay.
Not to mention that the acting was bad, and then that was bad.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot more at the beginning of the movie, the first half of the movie, and then once
the movie, the acting is bad.
Once Gage gets killed, then it's a little bit more better. It's just like Mad Max, right? Once a kid gets killed, but it's that point, and then it kind of picks up a little bit,
But still, the acting is terrible.
Okay, so let's get into the script here. So the first thing I thought was interesting is, they do the opening credits and they show the cemetery and everything. The first animal that they showed was a skunk, which I thought was weird because they never showed a skunk in any other situation. I don't know what the significance of that was.
Like the skunk being buried or what?
No, it was like a skunk was crawling around.
Yeah, it's just like ran around. It was like it was running around on like an open field. You know, it was like it's like the woods. So maybe they made it to seem like it's actually a really wooded area.
Maybe that was also to signify that the ground has turned sour.
Sour, yeah, it's possible.
The milk's gone sour. So in the very beginning when they're asking him where the trail goes, right? And Jud? I think the guy's name. They ask Jud, and he says he doesn't tell him, right? So then later on, he tells the doc. Now, if you were Jud, would you have told them at all?
Well, I didn't really pick up on this, but after I read it, and then as I was watching it, I kind of picked up on it. There's the ghost of the kid that died, who's supposed to be like the good spirit, because he's telling Louis not to do what he's going to do. Like, you shouldn't have broken the barrier. Don't do it. And then there's Jud, who is more of the evil character. You know, he's like, hey, your cat's dead. Why don't you go bury it and bring it back to life? But then he knows like what's going to happen. And then he even says like, once I did that, I murdered your son because the evil spirits come after your son. So Jud, I think
Jud was evil.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, he seemed truly remorseful when he realized what happened. That like after the kid died.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I think so. But like, even when Church was, when he called over Louis and Church was dead in his yard, like he's standing there in this hood, and it's like all like he looks like Emperor Palpatine, you know?
Well, I mean, the whole thing was that he told them was that you could only Jud told Louis he said that it's only for a temporary thing, and you need to kill him after Ellie comes back. He needs to die again. Otherwise, shit will hit the fan, and he never did that part. Because that was the way to stay. That's when he stopped.
Ass Louis.
That's when he stopped. Remember when he talks about Fido, Bingo with his dog. The only way to stop it was that he had to kill him. He had to do it because he's the one that rezzed him.
Because he even says, it's not like, oh, Ellie's happy. Ellie got her cat back, and then Judge was like, no, he's yours now.
He's yours now. Yeah, he's the one that needed. He's the one that needed to to end it. That's why the cat was so antagonistic towards Louis, because the cat knew its end, because it had to be by his hand.
Now, would you have just killed the cat? I mean, there's so many times where he would have just well, first of all, you don't go and do bury the cat. But I mean, like, I would have killed the cat a couple times. There's a couple moments where I would have been like, that cat's died.
Look, Clint, there's only one person of the skin color that can correctly answer this question. And that is our friend Devin.
Gooch. I might have the skin color.
No, you're half. Okay, what half would you have done? What was your white half would have done?
Well, that's the problem. The other half of me would have just not even. I'd have been like, we're moving.
No, I would have told him like, look, sorry, sweetheart, the cat got run over. The cat's dead. What can you do?
Well,
like, yeah. I mean, like,
I would have been a man and told her.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I would have just been like, it's just a cat. And I'm with Lucho. Like, if the cat got ran over, because the stupid thing was he made the promise that nothing would happen in church. But for whatever reason, they live on a highway. And that is a very dangerous area. And even Jud's like, animals die here all the time. That's why there's a pet cemetery over there. And guess what happened? The fucking cat died. So
I don't understand why they didn't put up a fence. So stupid.
Well, a cat would have run over the fence. I mean,
I know, but it's like
it may have saved the kid, but
but even still, like imagine like living there, and like what happens if like one of those trucks who for whatever reason are busting ass around that corner, like they blow a tire, they're just gonna barrel right into the damn house.
Yeah, I know. Now, two things that you mentioned, Devo. Number one, the promise. This fool was super tooty with his wife about that promise. He did not want to make that promise, which I thought was interesting. And the other one is when they first go to the cemetery, the wife is like kind of super aggro to the old man. And I feel like you see two moments where there's sort of this thing that the adults in that household are trying to fight against, and yet they still succumb to this, both ways. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Succumb how? I know about Louis, but how did the wife succumb?
Because she still went in there. She didn't want to go in at all.
Yeah, but she went in because she heard her sister, and then she's like, "Huh?" And then her sister's voice turned into a.
Well, she flipped
Gage.
out. She snapped at one point. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like succumbed. You know what I mean?
Oh, gotcha.
Like she succumbed to like whatever. I don't want to say temptation because I don't think it was temptation, but like whatever the spirits were doing to them. And also there's this. Did you guys think it was like a Native American type of curse type of land or something like that? Because I know that he has that. Obviously,
That's what he said.
Exactly what they say in the
That's
movie.
exactly what was said. Even they said it used to be an ancient burial ground, but the Native Americans stopped using it because the land went sour.
Yeah,
that's exactly what the fuck he said.
Because the milk gone sour.
The milk gone sour.
I got to give a shout out here because the Native Americans for that burial ground were called the Micmacs.
Yeah.
And I used to have a brand of goalie sticks called Micmac. So what up?
There you go.
Is that what was that company named after that? That
I don't know if it was named specifically after that, but I mean they're Canadian. They're into their Native American roots. So
when he was lucid dreaming, when the guy that got his head hit by the it came back to him and was this I guess benevolent spirit, he was like warning him, and when he woke up his feet were dirty. So do you think that meant it happened, or it's just one of those horror tropes that like it didn't happen, it's just like magical? How did you guys interpret that?
I think that meant it happened.
Yeah,
like
me too.
He went out to the Pet Semetary and like laid down and fell asleep there.
Okay.
Well, I think what happened was I agree that he did go out there, but that he between him falling asleep, actually he wandered back home and fell asleep.
Okay. So you think he really went? Okay.
Yeah, I think he really went. Yes.
Now after that, when you woke up the next day, for me, I'd be like, honey, Maine is a beautiful place. Neighbor's a nice guy. Looks a little suspicious, but he's a nice enough guy. We just bought this new house. I got a doctor, and but I just woke up with a bunch of dirt on my feet, so we got to move.
So another thing too is he was the new doctor at the University of Maine?
I don't know, whatever that town is.
I think he was the town doctor.
Oh, the town, not a university doctor. Because I thought I read somewhere where he was going to be like a university doctor. And it's like,
yeah, me
if
too.
You're a university doctor, then why are you living out in the boondoggles?
It must be some northern Mainers. Because, if you look at the shirts, if you look at the shirts that when they bring in Pasdow, or what's his name, Pardow. Let me see. Victor Pascal. Victor Pascal into like the infirmary area. They were all wearing university shirts. I just couldn't get what university it was.
But maybe that university, that medical center is the main one for the city.
For that county or something. Yeah.
And kind of going back to that scene when Pascal first gets brought in and the doctor, basically calls him dead. He's sitting there with the body, and like the dude's like brain is still like pulsating blood. And he's just sitting there trying to have like an open heart conversation with like this dead body. It's like, and like he's telling him like all like the shortcomings he is as a husband. And then all of a sudden like Pascal comes alive. It's like, are you that crazy to like, have your confession with like a still bleeding dead body in front of you?
I thought that was good. Honestly, I thought Victor Pascal was the best character out of the whole film. So
let me guess. When Rachel comes back and like for whatever reason half her face is missing and like she's like, "Hi, honey," and like pus just starts coming out of her eye and they start making out, like that made you a little hard.
Well, he's the Guch.
Well, I mean, you know what? It's funny because I'm like, damn, she'd be hot again, and then they showed her face. I was like, oh, that eye is kind of pussy. But when like they didn't show her pussy face, I'm like, damn, she's looking good. She's all dirty, but she's looking good.
Just throw her in the bath.
Yeah, just wash
so
her
that
up,
eye shut.
clean her
She
off.
good.
Give her a Phantom of the Opera mask. And
she looked like
Phantom
of the Menace. I love
Phantom of the Menace.
So now that first of all, that cat was stiff as a board when they picked it up when it first died. I don't know how long it had been
that
there.
fool was peeling it off the ground. It was stuck.
Dude, would that be the way that it would be?
It was fake. Oh yeah. I mean, you guys have never like. Well, I don't know how long it's been there. For it to be that stiff, it had to have been there for a while.
I would assume it'd be overnight at least.
I mean, I've had to pick up dead animals off the side of the road before and like throw them away because they were like and if they've been there for a long time, they are as stiff as a board. If they're freshly killed, they're just. It's like before rigor mortis kicks in. They're like a with a bagoo.
How long does it take for rigor mortis to kick in?
I don't know, a couple hours.
Oh
usually.
yeah, so if it got hit like in the middle of the night, then it looked like it was probably early afternoon.
And especially since like it was Maine during Thanksgiving, so I'm assuming it was cold. So that's why it got so stiff.
So okay, so after they get the cat, and they're the old dude is like telling him come with me to the Pet Semetary or wherever whatever burial ground. Now this is one of those moments where like you're watching a horror film and you know that someone's gonna do something really stupid, and then you are talking to the person like, dude, don't do it. Why are you doing this, dude? Don't do it. And I had that moment. I had that reaction to that scene because obviously the spirit in the dream, the dude with his head, the Pascal dude said, don't go over there. Like explicitly said, don't go over there. I get it's a dream, but still. So then I'd be like, why are you going? And then the old dude's like, don't stop. Don't look down. I'm like, nah. You know the way? Cool. You could do it yourself. Here's a cat. Go for it. And then and then there's like some sound and he's like, what's that? And the guy's like, just a loon. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean a loon? What does that mean? A person? And then
no, a loon's a bird.
Yeah, it's a bird.
Okay, it's a bird, and then I'm like, nah, we going back. We going back. I'm dipping out, and then then they go up to like after a rock climbing expedition up a bunch of like cliffs and shit, and they get to the top, and there's like some satanic looking burial place, and the guy's like, well, now it's on you. You're gonna. I'm like, dig what fucking grave? I'm not digging no fucking grave. I shouldn't even come up here. I was like, this is preposterous.
Well, the problem is though, Clint, is that we're looking at through eyes of a rational, not a horror movie trope character. Because I'm with you, Clint. I'm like, look, first of all, this guy died right in front of me, and then I saw him like get up and talk to me, and then I had a dream about this guy. And you know what? If he's telling me not to go up there, I'm fucking not going. Because either one, I'm going insane, or two, there's a fucking ghost haunting me.
And one thing I didn't like is that this man of science, who dedicated probably most of his life to science, is all of a sudden like, oh, there's a place where I can resurrect a cat?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes total perfect sense. Let me go do that. And then he gets crazy.
You know what, Devo? It's funny that you mentioned that because I was waiting for the scene where he was going to try to get like blood from the cat and take it to the laboratory and try to see what it was made of or figure out like what was he just like took
Pet
it like
Semetary
it was
2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Pet Semetary 2, the main character, like one of the characters, is actually a vet, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one's just the doctor. He's the doctor.
Yeah. Well, he should. Well, I guess you're right. It's just a doc.
He even says
people.
it. He even says like, I don't know.
But people came back too.
I'm not a vet, but the guy with the cat, he's like, I'm not a vet, but that cat was dead.
Yeah.
DED.
DED dead, yeah.
So when the cat comes back, first of all, he's like super scared of the cat. And the cat had like those weird eyes, but he was like holding that cat a little bit too rough. If I was that cat, I would have scratched his ass too. Right?
He's probably trying to protect himself.
Well, the whole thing was that before he had never. First of all, the cat smelled like fucking a corpse because he was dead, and the cat's an abomination.
They just let it like sit on the couch and and this and that. I'd be like, nah, I'm cool.
Even the little girl was like, "P, you stink," and she like kicked him out the door.
Yeah. But do they have kitty shampoo?
Yeah.
What were they waiting so long for? I don't know.
No, the problem is that Louis was supposed to kill the damn cat.
After you saw the cat.
I bet after you saw the cat, like he would have to run over with his own car or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, Well, and
Gooch, hold on, Gooch. The way that he actually did kill the cat, he like did it very humanely. He injected it, and your solution is to just run over the cat.
Well, the problem is that you had to make it believable for your child.
Okay.
Because if you drug her cat, dude, you're a freaking murderer. She's never gonna love you. But if you
but she's
accidentally
not gonna know that he drugged the cat.
if you accidentally run it over with your car, honey, I'll get you another cat. I'm sorry.
If she walks in the room and you've got the needle inside the cat, then you got busted. But if she wakes up and the cat's just laying there with tongue sticking out, then it's like, hey, sorry, honey.
You make a lie. I guess you can make him a lie. Yeah, that's true. I suppose.
But
so.
all right, so here's the thing. Church dies, and then Jud's like, well, you want to spare her the pain and the heartache of losing her cat, so bury it and have it come back to life. And then he's like, but you got to kill it again. So like, you're going to the animal got killed, and that's going to cause grief for the daughter, right? But she's probably going to get over it. But then you're going to bring it back to life and have the zombie cat only to have to kill it again, and then she's still going to go through that grief knowing that her cat died. Like, she's going to be there for the death. Like, that, it made no sense to me.
The only thing that came to me was that maybe because she is the one that helped bury it, maybe it helps with the grieving process. But I'm with you, Devo. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
No sense.
And it just caused more problems in the long run.
Yeah, it did. Look, it had to kill the whole family.
You know what's funny is when he and then when the Jud tells him the story of his dog. Now, there's a couple things here. Number one, the mom looked like she was dressed for the 1800s or something. I was like, how old is this old bastard? I was like, when he was like 15 years old, it was like 1890s or what the hell?
This shit looked like it was fucking Little House on the Prairie.
And then he tells the story about the World War II guy. And I was like, okay, how?
He was like a young man. He was like 30 then.
Yeah, I was like, how old is this whole fuck? And that made me like wonder if he was some type of zombie, but I guess he wasn't. And then
no, my thing was that why didn't he tell Louis about his own dog in the first place? I'm sure if he would have told him like, oh yeah, by the way, I did this when I was a kid, and my dog he became a zombie dog, and started attacking people, and I had to put it down. I think that would have been useful information before he fucking brought back the cat.
Yeah.
Although the weird thing was the cat didn't really attack people like that except for him. But,
Well, it's because he was the the one that was gonna kill it. That's why.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
But he was still more antagonist towards others than said before.
Now when he tells him, let me get this quick. I was like, he told him the story. He told the doc the story. And then the first question the doc asks, has anyone buried a person up there? I'm like, what the fuck is that the normal next question that you're going to ask when he tells you some story about people, about burying their pets in a pet cemetery, they come back to life? Would that be your normal next question?
Not for me.
Not
but
for me
neither.
I
was like, okay.
Honestly, I'd get up and leave the door. I'd get out the door because I'm like, obviously this man is mentally disturbed.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
And then the crazy thing is he says, oh, well, actually, yes. I was like, Jesus. Okay. Now another one. There is a scene, the bathtub scene with the doc. It's like a classic horror trope scene. Now, why was that scene with the doc and not Tasha Yar?
Because Tasha Yar was not in town.
I know, but why couldn't they have written it in the script where she did the scene instead of him? I didn't need to see him do that scene.
Well, it's not like you saw any wing.
I know, but if Tasha Yar was in the scene, maybe we could have seen something.
Oh, I see. You're just trying to see some titty. That's all it is.
I'm a man.
I mean, I don't know. It was just bad. I honestly don't know what to say there, Clint.
Now, okay. The stupid fuck. Of course, this
Wait, which one? There's a lot of them.
Well, the doc.
Okay.
This fool goes and gets his son. I was like, dog. After what happened with the cat, after what Jud told you, he just must have snapped, right? Because it makes no sense.
No, he went nuts. He went nuts. Yeah.
Okay, but he's a doctor. He's a doctor, man. It just doesn't. If they made him like a different profession, I could see it. But the fact that he was a doctor seems a weird combination with some of the stuff that he did.
This is going to bleed over into some other segments of the show, but I felt that if they would have showed the doctor in a different sort of, how do I put this, demeanor before the kid died, then I think it would have been much more believable that he did actually snap and lose his mind. But the way he was acting throughout the entire film, I couldn't tell like what he was feeling emotionally about anything in his life. Like he was the same when they first moved in the house, when he's super happy. He was the same when the kid died. He was the same when Tasha Yar is about ready to slice his neck. Like there was no change in any sort of his emotion. So it's like when he is thinking about digging up Gage, it's like, I don't know, like it just felt like you're supposed to know that he's gone crazy, but it's really hard to tell with the way that actor was just portraying everything.
I think there was a small interaction between him and Ellie right after Millie, her funeral, and like the daughter asked, like, is she gonna go to heaven? This bullshit, and right, and like he was like, sure, of course you're gonna go to heaven, and then like she asked him, like, do you believe that? And he starts backtracking. He's like, well, I think, he says something like to the extent where he is like, I think we continue on, I think he said. And then he's like, no, of course I believe. And then he backtracks and he's like, no, of course I believe they go into heaven. I think that's like kind of like the ambiguity that they wanted to portray onto him. So where he could easily break to believe that, if there is no God, that allow, his kid to get run over by this truck, and I brought my cat back. Fuck it, I'm supposed to bring my boy back. I think that's they were trying to get to. But you're absolutely right. It was very poorly acted, and it's hard to get to that. It's the only thing that I was trying to get together. That could put together. Other than that interaction between him and his daughter makes no fucking sense.
This fool's like, I'll bust you out, son. I'm like, what are you getting him out of jail or something? I was like, dog, what is this? And then when
that's what he said, right?
That's what he says.
I'm busting you out.
I'm busting you out, son. I was like, bust him out of what? Fool's dead. And then when the police come and they shine the light, they literally shined it on him. They would have seen him.
Yeah.
They would have seen
I
him.
was
And
like,
his
okay.
jacket on the gravestone and the grave that's been dug
he
up.
dug up a grave
hole.
Yeah.
with a bunch of dirt on the side.
And they're like, oh.
Those are terrible
okay.
cops. They put their glasses on. Now,
Are we already in like this just so ridiculous?
I think the whole
territory?
thing's just so ridiculous.
This is a whole-
I'm not
Alright.
there yet, but we just,
I've got a list.
I'm sure we covered plenty.
We'll
of
keep
it
going.
already,
We'll keep
so
going. Okay.
going, yeah.
Now, it obviously must have been very fun for the kid to come back as a zombie, but I thought that at beginning, but now Devo mentioned it could have been horrific in some ways and maybe traumatizing. So maybe it doesn't seem now you're going to have me thinking about this every time I watch a movie with a little kid as like the main antagonist. But let me get this straight. Now, first of all, if you're the old dude, if you're Jud,
Jud.
If you're
Jud. Write it down.
J-U-D, if you're Jud, if you're Herman Munster, and you know the story of everything that happened, and you hear the little kid's voice, after you already told the doc not to do it, you knew he was finna do it anyways, and the zombie kid's in your house, you see the footprints. Now, I'm not going in the house. I don't know about you guys. I'm not going in the house. I'm gonna go across the street. I'm gonna wake up the doc, and I'm gonna say, Doc, your kid's in there. You fucking go get him. Right?
And he even walks up. He's like, Gage, is that you playing up there? It's like he knows.
What did you
like
think
he
was gonna
already
happen?
knows it's Gage. Yeah.
No, the funny
And,
thing
like,
about it, he walks into the room. He's all, "I got something for you," and he opens up the jackknife,
He opens a pocket knife,
a pocket knife, a little jackknife,
a Swiss Army knife.
Now, that kid sliced his Achilles, dog. That was brutal.
It
I
wasn't
didn't
even a
expect to see
slice.
that.
It was like he like dug into it.
like slowly
Yeah.
cut into that thing.
Which I don't know if that kid would have the
Into that-
strength to do
and-
that, but
into that
he had like
piece of
abnormal
PVC.
strength
Well,
apparently.
dude, he climbed up into an attic and dove at his father like he was
I
Jeff
know.
Hardy off the top
well,
of a
he
cage.
hung his mom.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so when you got those Micmac superpowers,
He must
Do
have
whatever you want.
superpowers. Now, the cat and the kid were like working together even, though.
yeah, because they're evil spirits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you think that, now I have a question. Do you think that the kid was possessed, or do you think it was just the kid was changed? Because the way the kid talked was like out of personality.
I think it was both. I think he
Yeah.
was evil, and then to fuck with his mom, like the spirit of the sister like, I don't know if it possessed him, but he kind of used those feelings that she had of her sister, like the fearful feelings, and used them against her. Because he dressed up as his sister from that painting. That was that weird little outfit that he was in when she first runs into him.
But wasn't he buried in that?
No, he wasn't buried, because if you notice, like, when he
that's what I was wondering too. Why was he dressed like that? I thought he was buried like that.
No, I don't think so. It's like if it's like an kind of like a foreshadowing. It was a foreshadowing to that picture of her of her older sister when she was younger. I mean, she was an ugly little girl, to be honest with you, if she dressed like that. But
Granted.
But yeah, where'd he get the outfit from?
Because she's fucking supernatural, fool.
Okay, fair. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, did you not notice that all of a sudden he was walking around with a cane and a top hat?
Yeah.
Looking like a player?
That's what made me think he was possessed and not actually, the little kid. Now, why? Now, this is obviously the same thing I asked before with the old dude, but why did she go in there by herself? Like, maybe go get your husband first? Maybe? I mean, you came this fucking far. You came all the way from Chicago to Maine. Maybe you could go talk to your husband before you go inside.
Well, she heard her kid, man.
First she heard her sister, which kind of like drew her attention, and then she heard a kid, and then like it was just all downhill from there.
Yeah, she was donezo by that time.
And then this. So a couple now. The way that the doc tranked the cat was the smartest thing he did all movie. Just kill the cat first and foremost. Just kill the cat. You don't have to worry about the cat jumping on your fucking neck, and when you're about to take out your own son and all this crazy shit. That was smart. Now, when the killer kid came back, I didn't think this was a killer kid movie. Did you guys know that going in?
Yeah,
I did.
Because I'd seen it before.
Yeah. I just didn't remember the part with the lady killing herself.
And then, of course, he has to take his wife out to the cemetery like a dummy.
Like a dummy, of course, dude. Of course.
Now, what did the son do to her? I thought he just hung her. No, her face was cut off.
Yeah, it's like she must have bit her face or something, because that face was fucked up.
The cat ate her face.
I don't know. I don't know what, but that face, like half her face was like just was gone. It was all pussy and disgusting and.
But he's still kind of hot though.
Oh, of course, yeah. For like a zombie, she's like zombie hot.
I don't know if you guys know this, but okay. But the last thing before we get to just over the original ending, she's supposed to just put her hand on his shoulder, and that was it. You never saw her. But then they reshot it, and they trying to make it more graphic. So maybe that's why they did that. It wasn't originally supposed to be in the script. Okay. So it's just so ridiculous. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to let Devo talk about the same thing that he talked about last week with Mad Max, and is these fucking parents that just are very absent-minded about the way that they let their kids walk around in a yard, in a field of lawn.
And I don't know. So, all right. So it's one thing to be in a park or an enclosed space where there's just a giant play area and your kids just running around doing their thing. When you are living on the edge of a killer highway and you know that these semi-trucks are just ripping ass through your space, like, I would think that you would keep a better eye on them, especially when they already had one scare where the kid was almost going to run into the street and then Jud had to pick him up and save him. Like, you already went through that. So, like, you got to be on your toes, and you know that animals die probably on the daily with all the trucks that are just hauling ass through there.
Exactly. You never let your guard down. Ever. Yeah. You can't. Even if it's not some perilous situation like that, some dangerous situation.
Exactly.
Like, even if you just are at the park, because someone might take your kid. I mean, obviously that's like a more of a modern thing now. Probably not 1989 Maine, but still.
Yeah. Just the fact that, I mean, sure, they're playing with the kite and the kite goes away and he's, the dad's turned around, but like he's got his back completely to the kid and the kid just starts running off and like, I don't know, like that's not how a parent would be like a true parent would be in that situation. So
like you said, especially after the first scare would have, made every other parent in the world think twice about the situation. I would have built a fence first and foremost. And that would have been the first thing. That was stupid. Maybe they were only there for like a week. I get it, but still, I wouldn't let the kid go outside until we built that fence. Now I got two things. Number one, the dude that got hit by the truck that was the ghost, his head is like splattered open, right?
Yeah.
The cat wasn't even flattened, wasn't messed up, had a little bit of blood, and the kid looked like nothing happened to him.
I would assume that with how they made that truck look like how fast it was going, I would assume that kid would just be mush.
Well, the whole thing is that when they bury someone, they don't bury. They try to make them as presentable as possible.
Gooch.
I'm just
there
saying,
would be nothing to present.
Hey, all I'm saying, if you notice, like he had like a big ass scar on the side of his face, and like I agree. I think he'd be mangled. He really would.
He would have been a muck. Gooch, there's a story. I have to tell this one story before you continue.
All right.
This is what makes me know that this is completely unrealistic. There's a story that our friend told me one time where these kids were laying on, it was late at night, they were laying on train tracks near a park, right? They fell asleep. The train came. There were parts of them in the field of the park. There was no bodies. Okay? Now, I would think that a big rig could have close to the amount of force as a train. So I'm sorry, that kid's going to be in pieces.
Oh, I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think he'd be flattened, but I don't.
There's closed casket, dog.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely.
And even then, and so here's the other thing too. The kid came back. I know they like buried him, and he even mentions once time that like, oh, it's because they buried her. Because they let he was dead for too long, and his wife was supposed to be like newly dead, right?
Yeah. So,
but when she came back, the blood wasn't even crusted. She was still actively bleeding.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, because it was that fresh.
Yeah. It was that fresh kill.
Now, okay. When the dude buries his son, he just goes to sleep? Like, I'm sorry, dog. If I had to, if I did that, which I wouldn't do that, but if I did that, the last thing I would be doing is sleeping.
Well, I think that was just like pure physical exhaustion.
Yeah, but why even go back? Just stay there till the kid comes out.
I don't know. Maybe like that's not how he thought it worked. Because even with the mom, he set a timer, and with church didn't show up until like the next morning. So it's like maybe he just assumed that it was going to take a while. So he went home to sleep in a nice cozy bed, wait for your kid to come back. You guys play some games.
Now, okay. Now here's another thing. I'm just going random right now, but okay.
Yeah.
The cat at the very beginning, before the cat dies, there's a scene where the daughter is getting put to bed and the cat is literally sleeping in the bed with her underneath the covers. That would never happen. I have never seen a cat do that. Every time I see a cat sleep on a bed, it's at the foot of the bed on top of the covers. Am I right?
No. We've had
Gooch?
We've had like Dalia would sleep under the covers of the bed.
Like she was like a person.
Yeah. Especially if it's cold.
I stand corrected.
If it's like an indoor cat, they'll do it. If they're an outdoor cat, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it just because they're outdoor cats and they're dirty. But if it's an indoor cat, yeah, I've seen them do that.
Now, did we talk about the kid's super strength? Like he obviously, hung his mom. I don't know how
he was
the hell he got her up
supernatural,
there.
of course he is.
Yeah.
But he was struggling.
Yeah.
But I mean, the dad was struggling to overpower him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until he finally chucked him.
Yeah. Now, okay, and then another one. I want to talk about the when the guy comes when we talk about the thing with the Pascal guy when he first comes back. Devo mentioned how terrible the scene was. I had one thing in particular that I thought was preposterous. When the guy comes back and he starts talking to him, the first thing the doc says is, "How do you know my name?" I'm like, wait a second, what? Like, dude, this fool just died and now he came back. Maybe your first question might not be, maybe the first thing you might want to do is maybe try to help him stay alive? Or do you think he already knew that he was dead?
No, everyone knew that he was dead.
So it was he knew it was an apparition.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the last thing I have before I let Devo go off is the wife's dad. this fool
The
is an
psycho.
asshole.
Oh yeah.
This fool assaults the doc in the church.
Yeah. After like
Now-
At his grandson's funeral.
Now, I gotta ask you guys first, what would you have done if you were the doc and that old codger did that to you?
I would have taken my dead son out of that casket and stuffed that old bad fucking codger back in that one. If there would have been anything, I would have traded the grandfather's soul for my son.
You just killed him and buried him?
Yeah, buried him,
Yeah,
buried
no.
them together.
I would have gone crazy on him. I know he tried to, but somebody was holding him back.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have cared for. I would have been like, cool, I'm cool. No, we're good. And then like later on in the day, I would have attacked him and beat the shit out of him. I would have beat the fuck out of him.
Me too.
Maybe not that
Yeah,
day, but
he
at some
deserved
point.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's your wife's old man, and she probably hates you, but I would have beat the shit out of him. And, probably she already, and I was surprised they didn't play this off, she probably already hated the dad for letting the son get killed, really. It was his
Well, she
fucking
already
fault.
hated the dad for leaving her to be in charge of Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They played that up, and I don't think she had that great of a relationship with her parents to begin with, but the parents, for whatever reason, hated Louis.
Yeah, they didn't really elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Something happened.
They
and
just-
the what is it? The father-in-law hated Louis.
Which was weird because the fool's like a upstanding doctor. I don't see what's to hate about him.
Why would, he's like exactly.
I mean,
he's
it's
a
terrible
doctor.
acting, but
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah. And then what about, all right, so there's one thing that I have is not really too related to the movie, but I already touched upon Maximum Overdrive in earlier in the episode, but that movie features mechanical objects that are coming to life after this strange meteor comes over the planet. And in particular, there are a lot of semi-trucks in that movie. And I'm a little disappointed that a semi-truck in that movie was not the same semi-truck that ran over Gage. Like they could have
the
just
one
had
with
that
the-
like on the side, like with Ornco on the side,
You're talking about the one with the goblin?
No. Well, what I'm saying is that because they're at a truck stop and there's that goblin one, but there's also other semi trucks there. They should have had a semi truck from this movie be like one of the killer trucks in that movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. It should have been, especially if they're gonna like port this Shining idea over into it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then finally for me, it's not really a repeatable quote, but I wanted to put it in here when Rachel's in Chicago and then she's calling back to Louis, but Louis is burying Gage. And then like she turns to mom and she's like, he's not picking up. And the mom's like, he probably went out for a hamburger or a chicken dinner, dear. You know how men are when they're alone.
I know.
That was like really like
So hold on,
when
was
men
she
are alone,
saying-
we go get hamburgers and chicken dinner.
Well, do you think that she was saying that the hamburger and the chicken dinners were just different flavors of women that he might be cheating on her with?
I did not pick. I thought she was just that naive,
Yeah, me
and
too.
she was like,
okay. I thought that
Yeah.
it was some sort of like double entendre or something like that,
"No, I didn't even pick up on that at all."
I guess you're right. Maybe she just meant it that way. Although that did seem like very like an odd thing for that old lady to say. Yeah, my one quote that I really liked was the little girl is talking to her dad, kind of like how a little kid would, about church dying eventually. And she used one of my favorite words. She's like, in the end, he's going to croak, isn't he? And I was like, yes, he is. Absolutely. He will. Did you have any Gooch?
I'm looking up here. I did, but I just kind of forgot them. Most of them were from like Victor's one.
He was cracking jokes, man.
He was.
Really
I think he was the best character out of all of them.
It's the one part of the movie to me that almost seems out of place, but makes sense.
Wait, who?
Victor Pascal.
Yeah, the ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see here.
I wonder if they'll do it that comedically in the new movie. I suspect not.
Oh, you know what it was? It was when Rachel gets dropped off by the truck, and she's like, Victor Pascal is like, it's the end of the line for me too, so I'm not allowed any further. And she goes, I'm sure things will be fine. And Victor's like, I'm not. And the way he said it was like,
Yeah.
If you were her, would you even have gotten in that truck?
well, I mean, I would, because I'm not a chick. I'm not afraid of a trucker.
I said if you were her, if you were a chick. If you're her.
You know,
It's a little dangerous, right?
you had premonitions about your sister coming back from life. You know, other things that matter. I think a trucker's the last thing you're really worried about. But I mean, I don't know. You gotta look it through her eyes, not just some chick's eyes. It's what she's went through.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's true. She had more important things. She was willing to take the risk.
Did you notice the number on the truck when she hopped in?
Say.
Yeah.
All right, Devo. I turned the floor. The floor is yours, my friend.
So we are now going to cover the best segment of the show and award the Kim Coppola Award, which is awarded to the finest worst actor of the film. I know I have my choice. Guch, who is your Kim Coppola nominee for Pet Semetary?
God. Yeah, man, I don't. Yeah. This one's gonna be tough. Like, you know what? It's just because he was in the film so much, and he made the movie bad. I mean, it's got to be the main character.
Dale Midkiff as Louis Creed.
I disliked him. He felt like he was a B movie actor. He really did. He felt like a B movie actor, and I think he was taking the B movie role too seriously. So, Clint just wrote that whole line with like, "I'm busting you out of here, son." I'm like, it was absolutely ridiculous, and the way he acted it was absolutely like he was busting someone out of a prison, not digging up a fucking grave. So, because the rest of them they all had bit parts, so I can't really tell. I mean, I did vote for a bit part in the Max, in Mad Max, but that's because that guy was so ridiculous. But I'm gonna have to go with Dale Midkiff this time as Louis Creed. Yes, that's my pick.
All right, Clintoris.
It's got to be the Doc. The Doc is horrible. He's terrible. I don't know if he made the movie bad. Like, the movie's bad, even though, in spite of his badness,
He made it worse.
He did make it worse. Some of the deliveries were just so the way. Some of the stuff that he was saying and the way he was saying it, I was like,
when he does that,
what was that
big scream, like he like gets on his knees and yells. God,
I will say the one time where he got scared by the cat was like his best acting. It was like it felt super real, like he really was scared of the cat. The problem was I didn't understand why he was scared of the cat.
Yeah,
just kill the cat. Yeah. The Doc was particularly bad. I've never seen him in anything before or after, and thank God.
You know, he needs to stick with bit parts, to be honest with
you. Yeah. And for me, it was just every delivery he had was just like, "Hey, church, you're back. Oh, hi, Rachel. I love you so much. Sure, Ellie, the dog's not going to die. Jud, I just buried my son today. Oh, come on, Gage. I'm going to bring you back. Oh, where'd Rachel go? Oh." It was just like, it was like somebody trying to imitate, like doing a bad Keanu Reeves impersonation. Yeah. And it was the same thing throughout the entire show. And one thing that pissed me off so much is when they're at the airport and the dad, like Rachel's dad is like, "Hey, sorry, I lost my mind there, right?" And like he goes to shake Louis's hand, and Louis shakes his hand, but Louis gives him this like little tiny baby weak fish like handshake. I was just like, this is not a man here. He deserves what's going to come to him.
I agree. And Devo, in that scene, if I was the Doc, first of all, I would have already beat his ass before that moment. But second of all, I wouldn't have shooken his fucking hand. I would have told him to fuck off.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And like what's even weird is like when he's shaking his hand, like he's like the Doc has this look on his face like, finally I'm like getting some sort of respect from the guy. It only took the death of his kid, you know?
Exactly.
So for me, my choice is Dale Midkiff as Louis Creed.
Well, it's a 3-fer this time. It's rare.
Yeah, I think
this is our first unanimous.
No, I really think that this dude has a chance to do some damage at the Rayford Steele Awards.
I agree because he's
His
really bad.
acting performance is particularly abysmal.
And we gotta put down too where when they were unanimously chosen as.
I think Jake Lloyd's the only other one.
I think Jake Lloyd's the only one, but I, to be honest with you, I mean, you can give that guy a pass because he was a kid. This guy got no fucking excuse.
No, actually, Jake Lloyd's better than him.
Yeah.
Just there's no pass, no nothing. He's just better.
He's better.
This guy's worse.
He is worse. He's a
I
terrible
can't believe
actor.
he got this role. There's like people acting commercials at that time that were better than this. I don't understand it.
He must have had some
Probably
other.
'cause he's
he must have had other roles as this, so that's why he got it. I mean, I don't know.
He might be doing something behind the scenes, Flo. I mean,
Maybe
woman's got needs, right?
they did want Bruce Campbell at first. He said no.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
One question before we move on. Who do you guys now? Was the little girl Ellie? That's her name. The little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was she the best actor in the film?
No.
Who's better than her?
Gage.
Wow.
Dude, have you ever had to try to get a 2-year-old to do anything?
He was good. Was he 2?
He was 3.
Dude, he was born in 86.
Jesus.
And the
He
movie
was
came out in
good, though.
89.
Yeah.
He was good. The way
To try to get a
delivers his
2-year-old
lines
to
were
do
good.
anything and to get him to be able to repeat those lines and like, I don't know, like just praise to whoever
There was
they
a
had to do to
scene
get him to do stuff.
where they get off the plane and he's in like his stroller and everyone's doing their scene. This kid looks like he's gotten just a rotten ass look on, like he's taking a shit. He looks like he's taking a shit.
I think the cat
Probably
was the best actor, to be honest with you.
You thought the cat?
Wow.
Wow.
No, you know what I thought? I
gracious.
thought it was not the best actor, but one of the best ones was, like I said, the guy that played Pascal. Because he's like meant to be like a ridiculous character, but he did a good job at it. So
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Okay, so let's talk about the remake for a second here, real quickly. It's coming out
Do
on
we,
April 5th.
do we have any quotes from the movie that we
I just
like-
sort of said mine earlier.
I just said mine too about that one.
You had another one, Devo?
Okay, there's a couple that we didn't talk about, and there's one where I don't remember the exact scenario, but something comes and it jumps. I think it's a jump scare for Jud, and the first thing out of his mouth he says, "Christ on his throne, no!" And like there's just the way he delivered it. Like I've never heard that phrase before, and it was just so funny to me. And then when Gage is flying the kite and he drops it and it goes away, then Ellie goes, "It got away from him, that dumb shit." And then everybody turns around and just starts laughing.
I forgot. I remember that. Yeah.
Like there's
That's
a
right
little
before the kid
humor
got
in the
killed.
movie. Yeah, and then he runs off in this freeway and dies.
Yeah. Well, it's short lived. I'll tell you that. Jesus. Okay. The remake.
So
Did
obviously it's happening.
Did we need it? Do you think that this story, this idea of the story, is even good enough to be a movie anymore?
I think so. To me, this is a zombie movie, and I think it's a different take on the whole zombie mythos, and I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. Something like this, I would only like if we could have a really good remake done. You know, like this is something that like you can make it better. You know.
For me, I agree with Diva. It's not really like a timepiece or anything, and it's done so poorly. I don't know if I'd want to go and watch it just because I really don't care. But I mean, if they wanted to make a remake and make money off of it, you know, kudos to them. And if they say it's good, maybe I will go watch it. But is it needed? I don't know. What was for me? I mean, they made a part 2 out of this fucking film, so it made money. It made enough money to make a part 2. So maybe
part 2 didn't make money though.
no, big money at all. Of course, it was garbage. But so maybe they. I mean, they have. It looks like they have Jason Clarke. I don't know who this person is.
He's been in a lot of these horror movies actually.
John Lithgow.
And John Connor.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's in John Connor. Yeah. John Lithgow's in it as Jud.
It's funny because Edward Furlong was also John Connor.
Yeah.
He
Oh
was in
yeah.
the second one. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think even John Lithgow's in it. I'm assuming that he's got to be Judd, right?
He's Jud. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
gotta be
is.
Judd.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think we needed it. I won't watch it. So, yeah, I don't even know if it's a good story. I think that there's some things you can do with it, but I think they only really did the cat, the dog. They show the dog, there's people, but I want to see some other animals, some interesting little things. I don't know.
Well, I
How
mean,
about like a rhino?
well, the whole thing is that it's not about the animal. It's about like him raising his kid.
I know,
That's
but
what it really is about,
it's
yeah.
just the kid,
And then
the whole
like
kid
in the
killer
remake,
thing
it's not
is-
Gage, it's Ellie.
Oh, really?
What?
Ellie's the one that dies.
Yeah,
Although Gage
Ah,
is in it.
Gage is in it.
hold on, the actor?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, whoa. That
And
would
they
be
made
kinda funny if
they made
if they
Victor
made the-
Pascal a black dude. Obsa Ahmed. Like he's one of the Somali pirates from that one.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it would be kind of funny if they had the kid that played Gage in that movie.
I know he's not. He's like a
Oh,
good
yeah.
actor.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's wrap up with the deviant worthiness of this film. I don't anticipate it'll be high.
Oof. I'll let you start off.
I give it a 3.5 because it's pretty bad. Unlike Mad Max, where it's like actually boring. Because I think you gave Mad Max a 3, right? I don't remember what I would give it. I gave it the extra 0.5 just because I think Pascal was good, and some of the frightening scenes is still kind of scary, although it's goofy. But as a whole, the movie's bad. The movie's real bad. I do not recommend watching it. I like B horror films. The problem is when you have a B film that takes itself too seriously, it makes it bad. And I think this movie took itself a bit too seriously. And like I said, the only levity of it was Pascal and Millie, and she hung herself. So at 3.5 is as much as I can give it to it. It's not really worthy to watch. I mean, there is some merit to it, but not enough to give it any higher.
Fair enough. Clint, what about you?
I think it's a really bad movie, poorly acted. Some of the moods that they're able to get are okay. Some of the moments, they're a little, whatever. But this is an example of why I don't really watch horror movies, because they're very tropic, very formulaic, to the point where they become cheesy. And really the only redeeming factor is the other things that they put in these movies that are not traditionally poor things. And I think that one of the cool things about a lot of horror movies is you have these iconic characters like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, so forth and so on, and that really becomes the crux of the allure of the film. And this film, I don't think, has that at all. And I think it's bad. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know what the new one's going to be like, but I'm going to give this. I was trying to think of comparing it to Wing Commander and Mad Max, which are the two worst movies I've reviewed. We've reviewed so far. Is it better than Mad Max? Maybe slightly better than Mad Max. So I'll give it a 2.5 maybe. So yeah.
I'm kind of along the same lines as you guys. For me, Lucha and I were kind of talking about this briefly before recording, is that there's been a lot of movie adaptations of Stephen King books, but they're not all great. I personally have never read this Pet Semetary book, so I don't know how honest this movie is to the book. I don't know what liberties it took. I do know that it's not that enjoyable for me.
Well, I mean, he wrote the screenplay for it, and his stipulation is that he was there with them.
But again, you're not going to make the book page to page, right? So there's stuff that they're going to have to leave out. There's stuff they're going to have to change. And I know The Shining. No, Carrie was the first Stephen King movie they did into that was the first Stephen King movie. And I don't know if this was the second one or The Shining was, but what the hell?
Whoops, sorry.
It's just there's just something about it. It's just too hokey to me. It's not like when you watch. I haven't seen Carrie in a long time, but when you watch The Shining, there's a creepiness to it. There's a thrill to it. This one is just it's dragging, because you kind of, once you are introduced to the Pet Semetary and then all of a sudden you see what happens with church, then okay, something's going to happen. And you're kind of just waiting for that to happen. It's not like there's anything unexpected that's to come. So for me, I give it a 2. And it's not something that I would go like, hey, you guys have to watch this movie. It's a great movie. It's just like, it's just a movie, you know? It's nothing great. Not really good acting. And like for me, when Gage got run over by the truck, I got shook. You know, because that kid is no older than my youngest. So it's weird to see a lot of these things, you know, going on. But, you know, it's not a good film.
There you have it. Pet Semetary, not Deviant worthy. So
No.
Trash.
It was a chore to watch this.
So until next week at the same Deviant time, the same Deviant podcast feed. Signing off, I'm the Clintoris, here with...
This is the Guch.
I'm the Wendigo.
And we are the Social Deviants.